Hello everyone and welcome back to Forge Core Gaming. I'm your host Phoenix, and today we're going to be going over some upcoming minor changes to ship components, the possible impacts you may see on your day-to-day experience, and we're going to be taking a look at the quote-unquote breadcrumbs that CIG is leaving that may indicate much bigger changes are right around the corner. That's up next. As always everyone, we appreciate you tuning in and would love to see you around more often. So if you feel inclined, we kindly ask that you hit that subscribe button if you like insightful, well-crafted Star Citizen content. Also be sure to leave me a comment with what types of videos you'd like to see. I'm currently in the middle of building out several theory crafting type videos and will have the first one ready by next week at the latest. But without further ado, let's get into it. The entire premise of this video started when my adopted Star Citizen son sent me a post about upcoming shield generator changes, slated to hit the PU with the release of 4.1.1, aka the 2025 Invictus patch. Basically, CIG is taking strides in differentiating shields by classification, with the primary differences being related to shield HP, regen rate, and shield regen delay. This news may be a couple of days outdated for some of you, but stick around because we're going deeper into this discussion than what you may assume. But for those of you who are not in the know, here's the breakdown of what CIG is rolling out. Now, shield generators, much like all other components, are broken down into one of four classifications, those being military, stealth, industrial, and civilian, some of which are locked or gated behind certain content types such as PvP contested zone. Up until now, those classifications were loose indicators on what to expect from a component, but as of 4.1.1, there will actually be a definitive framework, at least as far as shield generators go. Here's what we know so far. Military shield generators will have high shield regen rates, a medium level amount of shield HP, and a high regen delay. Stealth shield generators, in contrast, will have a low delay, low rate of regen, and low pool of shield HP in exchange for the low levels of emissions. Industrial shield generators will have a high pool of shield HP, medium rate of regen, and a medium delay period. And finally, civilian shield generators will be medium or mid-tier in everything. Now this breakdown of course doesn't go into hard numbers as we're only speaking in relative terms, but I think it goes without saying that these changes are a long time coming, as in the past there were minimal, if any, appreciable differences between different component classes, and I, much like other players, generally just couldn't be convinced to pursue higher tier components, particularly when they were gated behind content such as PvP contested zones. But now, things are a bit different, and here's why I'm excited about it. As many of you already know, CIG has also recently added clarification as to what the teased flight blades actually are. And rather than being the long-awaited AI gunner blades, they're actually tools or implements we can buy and install on our ships that will allow us to tune or modify our ship's flight characteristics, which, when combined with now being able to more precisely choose which shield balance we want our ships to have, begins to open up what everyone has low-key wanted, even if they didn't really take the time to think about it. That being, greater degrees of freedom in our ship customization. Which means, given that higher tier military and stealth class components are gated behind certain types of content, typically PvP, there will once again be reason to go engage in some player versus player combat. Or for those of us that decide to go the less direct route, scavenging gameplay might just experience a resurge in popularity. Either way, components are starting to have more of a bearing on how our ship performs, which I think is a positive for the Star Citizen ecosystem overall. Now, I'll admit, even with this, we're a far cry from being able to pimp our proverbial rides, but it certainly is a start. And it's also, I believe, a clue of what's about to come out of the CIG development pipeline. That being engineering. Now I know, engineering in the Star Citizen ecosystem is not a novel concept. We've had hints of it before, previews of it, and some elements for its implementation are actually already in the game by way of engineering terminals, non-functioning fire extinguishers, removable components in many of our ships, and manual, albeit limited, ship repair by way of handheld repair tools and refillable RMC canisters. Originally, engineering was slated to be released alongside the launch of 4.0, but developers and CIG officials stated that it simply wasn't ready, which we all kinda knew already given the state of the game. But they also kinda made it sound like it was still right around the corner and would just be tailing 4.0 rather than being a co-released feature. But at this point, it's been 5-ish months since the release of 4.0, and it's been pretty much crickets as far as engineering goes, leaving some of us to believe that maybe it was tabled for the time being while CIG worked some of the kinks out of the system. But this, and I may be reaching here, this feels like an attempt at iterative release of assets and features that go hand in hand with what Tier 0 of engineering will be like. Now, I don't want you to misconstrue this. I'm not suggesting that this is any form of engineering. Let me be clear, it is not by a long shot. But it seems like they're releasing foundational pieces to the greater engineering puzzle. I've already stated in a video last week that the flight blade tuning, when engineering comes out, will likely come at a cost of component durability, much in the way overclocking a computer or bolting on performance parts to your car would. An increase or tune in flight characteristics will probably increase the rate at which you have to repair or replace ship components. On top of that, some engineering discussions predating the launch of 4.0 included talks about being able to overclock components to pull more performance out of them. And though this isn't exactly mirrored in the flight blade tuning tease we received on Spectrum, it certainly isn't a far cry from it. And it also isn't far-fetched to think that CIG is concept testing how certain aspects of these ship component and performance modifiers will perform when working together on the same ship. They need data to fine-tune things like component breakdown. And as someone who dabbles in programming, I loosely know the benefits of testing code in segments rather than in full application. So when these two announcements of flight blades and component class differentiation came out just days apart, my alarm bells went off. There's simply too much smoke to not be fire. But I may also be dosing with a giant serving of hopium. That's always a possibility. If you've made it this far in the video, drop me a comment with your thoughts on whether or not this is a sign of things to come. What do you think of the upcoming changes to the game? I'd love to hear from you. But on that note, I think I'll end the video. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it when I drop new content, and drop me a like if you appreciate the video. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.